जाएगी। मार्क्सिस्ट क्या है कि थीम को कनेक्ट करने में एक्सपर्ट है। जो यूपीएससी का अप्रोच है, इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच, इधर का ले जाकर उधर जोड़ दो, ठीक है। मार्क्सिस्ट इस काम में माहिर हैं, इसीलिए मार्क्सिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस का दबदबा बहुत ज्यादा है हिस्ट्री में। इंटरलिंकिंग, what Marxists will interlink, that is very interesting. Marxist historians will say that this part, now they will say that now we are coming to Britain. And in Britain, the Industrial Revolution started when? You will give the answer. Industrial Revolution, 1760s. So they said that Britain में Industrial Revolution started in 1760s. And when Industrial Revolution will start in a country, this Industrial Revolution will create new needs. Needs for more and more raw materials, because now the manufacturing will be done as a result of this factory system of production. So production will be increased manifold times. पता चले कि आप दिन भर में 10 शूज बना रहे हो या 10 शर्ट बना रहे हो, और फैक्ट्री आपने लगाई तो आपने बना दिया 1 लाख शर्ट. तो यू नीड व्हाट? रॉ कॉटन. आपको कॉटन चाहिए ना, एंड यू नीड larger market for the supply of this manufactured goods. So this industrial revolution generated two new needs. One need was what? Need for more and more raw materials, and second is what? Need for new markets where they could sell their manufactured goods, जहां पे वो क्या कर सके, अपने manufactured goods को sell कर सके. Got it? And what Marxist historians are saying, that India was fulfilling both these needs. And for this reason, what British did? For this reason, what British did? For this reason, British established their political control over Bengal to fulfill their industrial needs. And that is why both these two processes are simultaneous of each other. दोनों साथ साथ चलने वाला process है. Both these two processes are simultaneous in each other. Okay. On one side, what we see? Company Raj was established. On other side, what we see? Industrial revolution in Britain was introduced. Okay. It means that who is paying price for the success of industrial revolution in Britain? We Indians are paying price for the success of industrial revolution in Britain. और मार्क्सिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस का जो चाचा है उसका नाम क्या है? मार्क्स. एंड व्हाट मार्क्स सेड? मार्क्स सेड दैट इंडिया वाज ब्लीडिंग and industrial revolution in Britain was becoming successful or blooming. ठीक है. इंडिया की हालत क्या थी? लहूलुहान थी, और ब्रिटेन में इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन सक्सेसफुल हो रहा था. इट मीन्स वी इंडियंस पेड द प्राइस फॉर द सक्सेस ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन. Got this idea? Okay. So this is what Marx said. Write this statement. What Marx said? Marx said that industrial India was bleeding. India was bleeding and industrial revolution in Britain was becoming successful. India was bleeding and industrial revolution in Britain was becoming successful. India was bleeding and industrial revolution in Britain was becoming successful. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. Now we are entering into the topic. फिर बीच में कुछ और चीज़ें मैं relate करूँगा, because my purpose is to connect everything, because this will develop a broad idea in your mind. और फिर उस knowledge का use आप ऐसा नहीं कि केवल history में करोगे. You are going to use this knowledge, okay, wherever you will need. Okay. So that's why our classes are like this. ठीक है. मैं डरता रहता हूँ, इसलिए डरता रहता हूँ because I try to teach, okay, try to introduce some new methods, try to present lecture on some new formats, and traditional formats are already there. Okay. तो मुझे डर लगता है कि कहीं बच्चे घबरा ना जाएं कि ये क्या चल रहा है, सर ने वैक्सीन का टेस्ट हमारे ऊपर ही कर दिया. ठीक है. दिस इज द नीड फॉर यूपीएससी एग्जाम. यही एग्जाम की ज़रूरत है. ठीक है ना. तो जब भी आप पढ़ो तो रीड लाइक दिस. ठीक है. तो आपका थोड़ा टाइम ज़्यादा लगेगा, बट वंस यू विल डेवलप योर कमांड, ओके, यू विल फाइंड दैट you are comfortable with the needs of the exam. Now we are coming to the first. We will draw a sketch, right? Draw this sketch. That is very important. Okay. One part you will write pre-colonial era, pre-colonial era, and the second part is colonial era. One part is pre-colonial era, and the second is what? Colonial era. Pre-colonial era and colonial era. Now, just Akash, answer this question. What will be this pre-colonial era, and what will be the time period of this colonial era? क्या होगा? नहीं नहीं, आप प्री कॉलोनियल एरा में ब्रिटिश केम टू इंडिया, एक जनरल टाइमलाइन क्या है? 1600, बिकॉज इंडिया वाज अ कॉलोनी ऑफ ब्रिटेन ना, तो हमें केवल ब्रिटेन का कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बताना है. ओके, 1600 टू 1757, this is pre-colonial era. Why we are saying this? Because company is in India, but it's a trading company only. In this phase, India is not a colony. India colony nahi hai. Okay, different European companies were there. Here, East India Company was also present here, but the company was a trading company only. But the company was a trading company only. ठीक है ना, कंपनी केवल और केवल क्या थी? ट्रेडिंग कंपनी. Okay, it means India was not a colony of Great Britain. So this era is will be called what? Pre-colonial era. And which era will be called colonial era? The answer is very simple. You will count it from 1757 to 1947. 1757 to 1947. And now this two can be divided into two parts. इसको भी कर सकते हैं. In this colonial era, what we see? British rule. So one is what? And the second is direct British rule. So this phase is indirect British rule, and the second phase is direct British rule. So one phase is indirect British rule and the second phase is direct British rule. And this indirect British rule, this is also known as companies rule, EIC's rule. इसी को हम क्या कहते हैं? This is also known as companies rule. कंपनी कैसे रूल कर पा रही है? Because government has given company charter, monopolistic right charter. So is there a relation between company and metropole? Yes, there is a relation, and due to this relation we are calling that this is indirect British rule in India. So what will be the phase of this indirect British rule in India? So the phase will be from, very good, 1857-58. You can write both these years. Different historians mention different year. And the direct British rule, this time period is from, direct British rule हो जाएगा, this is from 1858 to exactly till independence, that is 1947. This is one simple division. Now the question, okay, that when British rule was established in India, what will be the answer? Majority of the historians, yes, write this, majority of the historians share this opinion. Majority of the historians, because ये matter of debate है कब से माने. So majority of the historians share this opinion. 1757. Majority of the historians share this opinion. That is 1757. Now, in order to discuss the economic policies under this British rule, we need to further divide this colonial era in three parts. Okay, so write this. Okay, in order to explore economic policies of British in India, right? In order to explore economic policies of British in India, we need to divide this British rule phase again. Okay, so we are dividing this British rule phase again. So British rule phase is what? 1757 to 1947. यही पूरा का पूरा phase है. So we need to divide this phase again. Okay, so that we could understand that what important developments took place in this period. Okay, now the first phase is called, read this, period of merchant capitalism. I have already discussed the meaning of merchant capitalism or the mercantilism. So that is the first phase. So the first phase is period of merchant capitalism, period of merchant capitalism, or it is also known as mercantilism. This is the first phase. And what is the time period? from 1757 to 1813. This is the initial phase of establishment of British rule in India. That is the period of merchant capitalism or mercantilism from 1757 to 1813. This is the initial phase of the establishment of British rule in India. Got it? Now, the second phase, write this, second phase, okay? First phase आपने लिखा. The second phase is right period of industrial capitalism. Period of industrial capitalism. This is the second phase. Period of industrial capitalism. Period of industrial capitalism. And the time period is 1813 to 1857 or 58. 1857 or 58. This is the time period. And the third phase is period of finance capitalism or fiscal capitalism. That is the third phase. That is the period of finance capitalism, period of finance capitalism or fiscal capitalism, period of finance capitalism or fiscal capitalism, and the time period here will be 1857-58 to 1947. Clear? So we need to understand this division. With the help of this division, we will be able to trace the developments during this time period कि पूरा हुआ क्या था colonial rule में, economic policies कैसी थी, ठीक है, ब्रिटिश ने कैसे इंडिया में इंडियंस को इकोनॉमिकली एक्सप्लॉइट किया. तो टाइम पीरियड इज क्लियर. एक बार रिवाइज करो, क्लास में ही याद हो जाना चाहिए. ओके, यू विल नॉट लीव इट फॉर टुमारो. ओके, वट एवर यू आर रीडिंग in class, you must be able to retain all the facts or the information. Again, I am asking, okay, the first division is what? Colonial era and pre-colonial era. What is the time period of pre-colonial era? It's very good. And what is the time period of colonial era? बोलते रहो, जहाँ बैठे हो म्यूट करके भी. Now, colonial era again has been divided into how many parts? The answer is 3. Okay, first part is called period of merchant capitalism or mercantilism. Okay, what is the time period from 1757 to 1813? Is this the initial phase of the establishment of British rule in India? Yes. And what is the second phase? Second phase is period of industrial capitalism. What is the time period from 1813 to 1857-58? And the third is what? Period of finance capitalism or fiscal capitalism. And what is the time period? The time period is 1858 to 1947. So first we will discuss which phase? First phase. पहले इस phase में क्या हुआ? We will try to discuss everything. Then we can easily understand the development. So write the first phase here. The first phase was period of mercantilism. Period of mercantilism, and this time period is 1757 to 1813 AD. Okay, so what happened during this time period, this we need to understand. ठीक है, बिल्कुल मैथमेटिक्स और फिजिक्स की तरह समझना इवेंट्स को. Try to connect the themes, and the concept is very easy, right? Reading books makes it more difficult, right? Now, I'm asking again this question. I hope all of you know this, that what is mercantilism? Mercantilism क्या है? I have already discussed it. Now you tell me, what is mercantilism? Exactly, it is an economic theory. I have already discussed with you that when we talk about this mercantilism, so ism means what? Ideology or theory. Ideology or theory. And what is this ideology or theory? So basically this is an economic theory. This is an what? Economic theory. Economic theory of state. Economic theory of the state. This is an economic theory of a state. And this economic theory of a state evolved in which centuries? It is 17th, 18th century. 17th, 18th century. This economic theory emerged. And what is the basic crux and essence of this economic theory? So the answer is very simple. Mercantilism means what? Merchant plus capitalism. Merchant plus capitalism. Okay, so capitalism focuses where? Capitalism focuses, or it intends on making more and more profit. It intends on making more and more profit. यही तो है कैपिटलिज्म. कैपिटलिज्म में फोकस क्या होता है? प्रॉफिट मेकिंग. ओके, प्रॉफिट मेकिंग. फॉर एग्जांपल, a businessman, okay, does what? Focus on profit making, focus on maximizing the profits or the gains. Okay, and here what is happening? Capitalism tends to increase its profit, more and more profit making. And here what is the most important thing? That what is the meaning of merchant here? So now here the estate will behave like a merchant. That is the most important thing. That here what we see, that state will behave like a merchant. स्टेट मर्चेंट की तरह बिहेव करने लगेगा, और ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए. दिस शुड नेवर हैपन. सपोज द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया स्टार्ट्स बिहेविंग लाइक मर्चेंट, तो अपना तो कबाड़ा निकल जाएगा भाई. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. गवर्नमेंट इज अ डिफरेंट एंटिटी एंड द बिजनेसमैन इज अ डिफरेंट एंटिटी. बिजनेसमैन का क्या होगा? इफ दे विल सफर लॉस, दे विल कट एक्सपेंडिचर, दे विल डू ले ऑफ्स. बट व्हाट अबाउट द गवर्नमेंट? कभी सुना आपने? जैसे अभी हिमाचल प्रदेश की गवर्नमेंट सैलरी नहीं दे पा रही थी, तो क्या उन्होंने एम्प्लॉयज़ को कहा? हिमाचल था, इट वाज हिमाचल, या कौन सा स्टेट था? वाज इट हिमाचल? ओके, इट वाज इन न्यूज़. तो दे डिड व्हाट? दे डिड नॉट कट एम्प्लॉयज़ ना. एम्प्लॉयज़ को कट नहीं किया, उनकी नंबर्स रिड्यूस नहीं की. बट एक प्राइवेट बिजनेसमैन क्या करेगा? ले ऑफ कर देगा ना. तो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द प्राइवेट बिजनेसमैन द स्टेट? द प्राइवेट बिजनेसमैन टेंड्स ऑन प्रॉफिट मेकिंग. Okay, what is the most important priority of the businessman? Income. पहली priority क्या है? Income. Okay, and then expenditure. ठीक है. If they will suffer loss, they will cut expenditure. But what about the government? गवर्नमेंट जब बजट बनाती है, तो what is the most important priority for the government? Income or expenditure? Expenditure. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? This is the difference between the government and businessman. Now what was happening in the 17th 18th century? This idea comes in Britain, and now the British government behaves like a merchant. Okay, the British government behaves like a merchant, the state is behaving like a merchant, and now state focus on more and more profit making. तो स्टेट का प्रॉफिट मेकिंग ज्यादा से ज्यादा कैसे होगा? so this can be done by maximizing export. ये कैसे हो सकता है? by maximizing export from that nation. If Britain as a country will export more goods, so in return, in exchange, they will get currency, they will get precious metals, that is called bullion. बदले में क्या मिलेगा ब्रिटेन को? प्रीसियस मेटल और बुलियन. दे विल एक्सपोर्ट मोर, दे विल गेन मोर. एंड व्हाट अबाउट इंपोर्ट्स? यू विल कट इंपोर्ट्स. ओके, okay, so in this way you can make your balance of trade surplus, beauty surplus. अगर एक्सपोर्ट को मैक्सिमाइज कर दे, एक्सपोर्ट को मैक्सिमाइज कर दे और इंपोर्ट को रिड्यूस कर दे, so we can make the business profitable. And your state is, okay, acting like a businessman. This was the British government. Okay, now why we are calling merchant capitalism here? Look here, 1757. Is not it the same phase that it's 1760s when industrial revolution came in Britain? Yes or no? Yes, industrial revolution in Britain in 1760s. And now here a state is behaving like a merchant, because this is the age of merchant capitalism. So a state will make policies. Okay, a state will do what? A state will make policies, and by these policies the British government will try to maximize its export. And who can be helpful in this purpose? East India Company, because East India Company was already in there in India for more than 150 years. प्री कॉलोनियल एरा कब से कब तक है? 1600 to 1757. 150 years का एक्सपीरियंस है, और एक्सपीरियंस मायने रखता है कि नहीं? Okay, when I started teaching, okay, it was the year I hope 2013, or I think that I was in a stage of preparation. I started preparation for the last 2 years. I started teaching. Okay, and After 3 or 4 years, I opened my own institute. Okay, and that institute was beneath, on the top floor of that institute, a renowned teacher of history was teaching. Okay, so when students came to my class, that teacher used to say that I have 18 years of experience. अब मैं क्या करूं? मुझे तो तैयारी करते हुए 2 से 3 साल हुआ था तब. ओके, so that business collapsed. ठीक है, because I could not reply when a teacher says that I have 18 years of experience. पता चला मेरी एज ही है 23 ईयर. ओके, 24 ईयर. ओके, नाउ आई ऑल्सो हैव 7 to 8 years ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस. ठीक है, तो अब थोड़ा सा लोग सीरियसली ले लेते हैं, एक्सपीरियंस मैटर करता है. बट कल की क्लास में मैंने क्या बताया था? बिना एक्सपीरियंस, ठीक है, एज डज नॉट मैटर. माई स्टूडेंट्स कैन टीच बेटर देन मी. आई ऑलवेज बिलीव इन दिस. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. आप में से कोई 20 ईयर्स का बच्चा मुझसे ज़्यादा बेटर पढ़ा सकता है. आई हैव फर्म बिलीफ ऑन दिस. आई विल नेवर से कि मेरा स्टूडेंट है. ओके, आई विल नेवर से. Okay, now company has experience of 150 year. They were doing trade and commerce in India. India में वो क्या कर रहा है? Trade and commerce कर रहा है. Okay, experience of 150 years. So what will happen? Government will use what? East India Company as a medium. Why government, British government will use East India Company? The story is very interesting. India, and here East India Company is a trading company. And this trading company is doing what? It is also in conflict with other European groups or other trading companies in India. East India Company दूसरी कंपनीज के साथ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट भी कर रही थी. दैट वाज द कॉमर्शियल राइवलरी. आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड विथ यू दैट कॉन्सेप्ट इज कॉल्ड व्हाट? कॉमर्शियल राइवलरी. कॉमर्शियल राइवलरी कहते हैं. English came in conflict with Portuguese, English conflict with Dutch, English conflict with French. This is what? Commercial rivalry. आप मार्केट से अपने राइवल्स को क्यों हटाना चाहते हो? टू मैक्सिमाइज योर प्रॉफिट और गेन. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? When there will be more rivals in the market, your profit will decline. Okay, when other competitors from the market will be out, what will happen? Your profits will increase. It means in these 150 years, this is a period of almost 150 years, and East India Company was trying to do what? East India Company was already trying. East India Company was already trying to establish its monopoly. It was already trying to establish its monopoly over Indian market. कंपनी बदमाश तो थी पहले से ही. ठीक है, इट वॉज ऑलरेडी ट्राइंग टू एस्टैब्लिश इट्स मोनोपोली. और ब्रिटेन और ब्रिटिश क्राउन को पता है कि ऐसी ही कंपनी चाहिए हमें, इसीलिए भेजा ही था उसको. राइट, नो कंपनी वॉज ऑलरेडी ट्राइंग टू एस्टैब्लिश इट्स मोनोपोली. दूसरी चीज क्या है? इन ब्रिटेन व्हाट हैपेंड? इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन केम in the year 1760. Okay, and this industrial revolution in its initial phase was, industrial revolution शुरू में क्या था ब्रिटेन में? Very good, very good. It was textile revolution. That is the very important thing. This industrial revolution in its initial phase was what? Textile revolution. And we all know that India was a major exporter of textile products. It was textile products also. Textile product, हम product की बात कर रहे हैं, not raw cotton. It was a major exporter of textile product. जब तक ब्रिटेन में इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन नहीं हुआ था, वहाँ फैक्ट्री सिस्टम नहीं था, तो वहाँ भी ट्रेडिशनल मेथड से प्रोडक्शन होता था. इंडिया में भी ट्रेडिशनल मेथड से प्रोडक्शन होता था. ब्रिटेन की पॉपुलेशन इतनी सी, इंडिया की पॉपुलेशन इतनी, क्या होगा? ओके, प्लस इंडिया was also the rich source of, okay, raw cotton, jute, silk. एंशियंट टाइम से सिल्क रूट हमारे यहाँ था. तो we have abundance of raw materials, plus due to large size of population we were able to produce more. And at that time the European market was flooded with the Indian textiles. This is also important, that at that time the European markets were flooded with Indian textile. European markets were flooded with Indian textiles. उस समय क्या था? European market were flooded with Indian textile. गॉट इट? यूरोपियन मार्केट फ्लडेड विथ इंडियन टेक्सटाइल्स. ये बहुत ही मजेदार सिनेरियो है. इट मीन्स इट हु इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट कंपिटिटर ऑफ ग्रेट ब्रिटेन? India, major competitor. India was a major competitor and Britain was not able to compete India. India was a major competitor and Britain was not able to compete. तो जब आप compete नहीं कर पाते हो तो क्या यूज करते हो? कॉन्स्पिरेसी, प्रोपेगेंडा. ठीक है, छल कपट, ये यूज होता है. ठीक है. अच्छा, आपने कभी देखा, एक ह्यूमन टेंडेंसी है, फॉर एग्जांपल यू मस्ट हैव मेनी फ्रेंड्स. आपके कुछ दोस्त, कुछ परिचित ऐसे भी हो सकते हैं, एक्वेंटेंस, दैट वो देखेंगे कि यार विपिन इज मोर इंटेलिजेंट दैन मी. ठीक है, विपिन ने प्रीलिम्स क्लियर कर लिया, मेंस क्लियर कर लिया, इंटरव्यू दे रहा है, और बेचारे का वो उसका कुछ हो नहीं रहा, उसको कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. तब जब वो आपके साथ बैठेगा तो कहेगा माई फादर इज एन IAS ऑफिसर. वट डज योर फादर डू? विपिन विल से दैट माई फादर इज अ फार्मर. ही विल से दैट माई ग्रैंडफादर वाज आल्सो एन IAS ऑफिसर. इसका मतलब जब मामला बराबरी का ना हो तो कहाँ पहुंच जाओ? खानदान पे पहुंच जाओ. ठीक है, इकोनॉमिक कैपेबिलिटी पे पहुंच जाओ, जाति पे पहुंच जाओ, धर्म पहुंच जाओ. लेकिन हमेशा मामला क्या होना चाहिए? 1 to 1. ठीक है, मुझसे बात कर रहे हो, मेरी हैसियत पूछो, अपनी बताओ. ठीक है, हमेशा ऐसा होना चाहिए. ठीक है. सो हम तय करने वाले थोड़ी न थे कि हम किस परिवार में पैदा होंगे, किस धर्म में पैदा होंगे, किस जाति में पैदा होंगे, अमीर पैदा होंगे, गरीब पैदा होंगे. दिस वॉज नॉट डिसाइडेड बाई अस, बट वॉट वी आर टूडे, ओके, वॉट वी विल बी इन आवर फ्यूचर, दिस डिसीजन वी कैन टेक. ठीक है, मेरी बात समझ गया ना? ओके, सो दैट वी शुड डू. So this is textile revolution and this is what we said, that the Britain was the major competitor. Now what will happen? In India, the most prosperous province was, इंडिया का सबसे prosperous province क्या था? It was one of the most prosperous province of Bengal. अब ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट की नजर कहाँ थी? बंगाल. They thought that if we will establish our political control, if we will establish our dominance and influence on Bengal, we can get raw cotton, jute, we can also supply manufactured goods, we can eliminate other competitors, we can get lot of revenue. Okay, पूरी नजर कहाँ जाके टिकी हुई है? बंगाल पे. It means if British will establish political control over Bengal, they can support their industrial revolution in Britain. So they will not care for valid or non-valid means. They will not care for ethical and non-ethical means. How Battle of Plassey was conquered? With the help of conspiracy. कॉन्स्पिरेसी क्या अच्छी बात है? नहीं. बैटल ऑफ प्लासी जीतने के लिए ब्रिटिश ने क्या किया? कॉन्स्पिरेसी किया. दे डिड व्हाट? कॉन्स्पिरेसी. दैट इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, दैट द ब्रिटिश डिड व्हाट? कॉन्स्पिरेसी. नाउ I will give you some example and the statement that is very important, okay, because we are talking about Bengal. This is the Bengal in 18th century, 16th. Right. Okay, so we are taking these images single. So basically when we talk about Bengal, so this is the province. Okay, this is Bengal here. Look at this map. This part is Bengal region. Bengal region. Okay, this part was very fertile also. It was an important center for raw cotton, jute. ठीक है, जैसे बांग्लादेश भी तो उसका हिस्सा हो गया आज के टाइम में, राइट? एंड बिटवीन दिस 16th to 18th century, between this 16th to 18th century, Bengal was one of the rich province, ठीक है, in India, one of the most important और rich province in India. ये सारे words आपने सुने हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल फोर्ट अलीनगर सुना होगा, हुगली सुना होगा. ओके, और ये सारी चीजें क्या दिखला रही हैं? रिवर बेसिन. ओके, यू कैन से दैट द डिफरेंट रिवर्स हियर. इससे ज्यादा बेटर समझ में आएगा इस मैप में. लुक हियर, do you see important rivers here? And the location of important rivers will do what? Fertile plain. Okay, soil will be fertile, so it is important for agriculture production, productivity. That is important for, Okay, raw materials, raw cotton, raw jute. So British can get this, clear. Plus this can be important center, okay, through which they can do trade and commerce using the sea route also. For this reason also it was important. And the Nawabs of Bengal were good administrators, so you can say that they also promoted economic prosperity in Bengal by providing safe environment for trade and commerce. This is also one factor. Now 16th to 18th century, it's an important information about Bengal. And what is the information? Recent studies on the economic and social history of Bengal from 16th to 18th century. We are talking about 16th to 18th century. When Plassey battle was fought, 1757. This is what? Mid of 18th century. So the recent studies on economic and social history of Bengal from the 16th to 18th century suggest that the region, it means Bengal region, experienced an economic boom in this time. So which time we are talking? 16th to 17th century. Okay. 16th to 18th, Bengal region experienced what? Economic boom. Okay. Owing to expansion in the agrarian frontier. It means what? Agriculture production, agriculture productivity, this all increased in Bengal. एंड वो क्या था? पिलर था हमारी इकोनॉमी का, एग्रीकल्चर आज भी है, दैट इज द प्राइमरी सेक्टर. Okay, a flourishing textile industry. It means between 16th to 18th century, Bengal was an important center for what? Textile industry also. And there is an important fact, you can also find this in NCERT book, that out of the total exports of Asia, okay, one third, one third of total export from Asia, मैं एशिया की बात कर रहा हूँ, one third of the total exports from Asia was contributed alone from Bengal region. पूरे एशिया के वन थर्ड एक्सपोर्ट से ज्यादा एक्सपोर्ट कहां से होता था? बंगाल. यानी इन इंडिया द ओवरऑल एक्सपोर्ट वेयर मोर, इंपोर्ट्स वेयर लेस. इंडिया में ओवरऑल एक्सपोर्ट ज्यादा था इंडिया से, इंपोर्ट कम था. इट मीन्स बैलेंस ऑफ ट्रेड वाज इन द फेवर ऑफ इंडिया. Yes, it was surplus. So between this 17